The shadow treasurer, Bowen, has warned the Turnbull government it must get its terms of reference right for its royal commission into the financial industry, otherwise the scandals will continue and the public will remain dissatisfied. In a letter to the treasurer, Morrison, he said it was a worrying sign that the government did not consult the corporate regulator before drafting its terms of reference, and Labour had serious concerns about the government's narrow focus on industry super funds. The Immigration Minister, Dutton, claimed on Thursday, Royal Commission would be good because it would put industry super funds under more scrutiny, given they had union members and whatnot on the board. Malcolm Turnbull announced on Friday. Former High Court Judge Kenneth Madison Hayne would head the Royal Commission into the banking, superannuation and financial services industry. In a statement, Turnbull said Hayne's wealth of experience at the highest levels of Australia's judiciary made him the ideal person to conduct the Royal Commission. He is renowned for his brilliant mind, his forensic skill, and his deep sense of justice. Turnbull said, the Royal Commission has been established to consider the conduct of banks, insurers, financial services providers and superannuation funds not including self-managed superannuation funds. All Australians have the right to be treated honestly and fairly in the dealings with the financial services industry. Hayne's appointment comes a day after Turnbull and the Treasurer, Morrison, made the surprise announcement that the coalition would allow a royal commission into the banking industry, with coalition partners in the Nationals in open revolt, joining the Greens and Labour in the push to set up a banking commission of inquiry. The cabinet decided on Thursday morning to head off what Turnbull said was a sense of inevitability about an inquiry. The announcement was made after Australia's Big Four banks sent Morrison a letter asking for a properly constituted inquiry into the financial services sector, in a bid to end the constant political uncertainty for the sake of the national interest. In Bowen's letter, the shadow treasurer told Morrison it was essential to have bipartisan agreement on the terms of reference, which he said must allow the Royal Commission to comprehensively investigate the rorts and rip-offs, including issues associated with the culture of banks, and executive remuneration. It is also critical that consultation with banking victims groups occurs, to ensure that the victims are able to tell their stories. We also believe there should be strong protections put in place for whistleblowers, he said. He also requested the Commission be asked to investigate how the roles and responsibilities of Australia's regulatory agencies had changed dramatically since the financial crisis, with little parliamentary oversight. He said the Commission should also be empowered to look into the conduct of liquidators. He said he had serious concerns about the focus on industry super funds. This comes as the Minister for Immigration and Border Protection said that industry super funds will face more scrutiny, given they have union members and whatnot on the board. He said, Australians will be rightly concerned if such a narrow focus into industry funds simply means fulfilling a Liberal Party agenda against industry funds and the union movement. David Whiteley, the chief executive of Industry Super Australia, said the government had to ensure the public respected the Commission's recommendations. Presumably they see a royal commission, in part, as a circuit breaker. So it's imperative that it achieves that. It's going to have to be seen to be addressing all of the concerns that the public holds about banks and their vertically integrated business models, he said. Bowen told Morrison it was critical Labour was formally consulted about the terms of reference, along with regulators and victims groups. Failure to consult will raise serious concerns and doubts about the way in which the Royal Commission is constituted, given that the government has spent 18 months doing everything to avoid one. Bowen said. Hayne was a Justice of the High Court from 1997 to 2015. He was first appointed to the bench in 1992 as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Victoria, later serving on the Victorian Court of Appeal until his appointment to the High Court. He began practice at the Victorian Bar in 1971, and was appointed a Queen's Counsel in 1984. He holds degrees in Arts and Law from the University of Melbourne, and was Victoria's Rhodes Scholar in 1969, graduating as a Bachelor of Civil Law from Oxford University. He was appointed a Companion in the General Division of the Order of Australia in 2002.